In this video, we are going to talk about how to learn a language on your own. And I really want to talk about it because basically I have bachelor's and master's in teaching Chinese and English as foreign languages. And currently I'm learning German partially on my own. So that's like a super exciting topic for me. And I believe that you will find this useful too. So let's do this. At my university, I can learn German for free since I'm studying in Germany. But the courses, basically, they last for the semester. And then in between semesters, I can do intensive course, or I can just go rest, do other stuff, and then come back and continue learning German. And then I would have like gaps for 2 or 3 months not learning German. So I decided I cannot afford that. I really have to take the matter in my own hands and create my own German language program for myself. So here I'm going to share advices that I really swear by, and I follow them religiously, and I promise some of them will be very useful for you if you're really motivated to learn a language. The first thing that you want to do is to set a goal, to find a goal for yourself that you want to follow and that you want to achieve. It's important that you decide how to measure your success, and it's going to be different for everybody. For some people it can be an exam, but it doesn't have to be. But anyways, you are going to need to feel that time pressure, because otherwise you can learn a language for years and not achieve anything. So it can be an exam, it can be like, a mock exam, it can be a completion of a level like A1, A2, C1, or it can also be a completion of a course that you buy from anywhere, or it can be a completion of textbook by this period in time, for example, in half a year. You know what the funny thing about this is? You don't have to actually achieve that goal, but it's going to be useful for you because it's going to determine your system, how you organize your time, how often you study the language, and that's why it's going to be useful in the moment, but maybe after, by the time that you must have done that exam, or you must have finished that course, you didn't actually succeed in doing that, but you became very close to it. It may turn out that you would not really achieve that goal by that time that you set for yourself. But anyways, every day you would take steps to do that. You would spend time with the language. You would learn so much, and without that setting that goal, you wouldn't get there. Another thing is that you should always take bite-sized portions of a language, and I really like comparing that with gym because for me it's really hard to find, 2 hours to go to gym, but I can find 30-40 minutes here and there and just drop by and do some sports. So with the language it's the same thing. It's always easier to find 30 minutes every day than 2-3 hours once a week. So you should really use that. Small texts while learning German, and also flashcards that I can look through before I go to bed, and some small texts, small exercises that I can do when I have some time in the evening, let's say 20-30 minutes, but I'm not like super motivated for a full-blown study session that would last for an hour. I just look through it and do some exercises, revise some grammar, and it doesn't take much time. Sometimes I can even have Netflix on background, but anyways, it's better than doing nothing. So really use those pieces of time to learn small portions of language. And speaking of flashcards, some language learners on YouTube, they really love creating their own flashcards, and if you like that too, absolutely, by all means do that. But I I hate creating flashcards because it takes so much time, and I try to do it like perfectly, and add pictures, and then I would wanna add sounds. So I never end up doing that, and I just find flashcards, let's say for textbook that I'm studying now, already existing flashcards, and just use them. And this brings me to my next point, is to use existing resources. For example, I hate making my own flashcards because I just feel that it takes so much time. So I just look for flashcards, for example, for the textbook that I'm using currently, and they already exist. You just have to look for them. And also there are so many amazing textbooks. Because some time ago I was just very much against textbooks because they seem so boring for me and so outdated. But that doesn't have to be true. Even for Chinese, it used to be so hard to find interesting materials and some textbooks that would supply you with some interesting and actually usable vocabulary. But currently it's very much realistic. So just look into resources. There are so many free resources on the internet, and also I'm really supporting you in buying some short courses, for example some video courses, like there's this with German, there's this YouTube channel is German, and they have their own courses like videos and exercises, and that's really amazing because this keeps you motivated. And here we come to the most exciting part, is that language doesn't have to be boring. Actually, it has to be interesting for you. Just find something that motivates you and that is fun for you. If you don't make the process of learning a language enjoyable, well, it's all gonna be in vain, because you are not going to do this for too long. You really have to find ways to enjoy this. As for me, I really like everything that's based on video. So like hearing native speakers speaking, not how they would speak in the real world. And also in my specific case, I really like learning pronunciation of languages, so I would really look for some pronunciation courses to work on my pronunciation. And doing that, well, it really keeps me motivated, so I can actually hear my result. I can hear that my pronunciation becomes better and I sound a little bit more like a native. That really excites me. For you, that can be actually reading, because so many people enjoy reading in foreign languages, and you should stick with that if you like that. Or you really have to think about it. You have to explore more. Maybe it's going to be some TV shows, maybe it's going to be series, or some films in that language. Just go on and explore anything that grabs your attention, anything that keeps you, motivated, that excites you. It works. I would say that having interesting material in the language that you're learning is the thing that's gonna get you through the hardest parts of learning this language. I have to say that learning a language on your own has so many disadvantages, but it has this huge advantage that you can just listen and read as much as possible, and you don't have to speak. And that's actually amazing, because that will help you form patterns in your brain slowly, step by step, and you won't have the pressure of making mistakes, doing exercises, learning what you don't want to learn. It's really vital to have meaningful input, as it's called, and this is really underrated when you learn a language with a teacher, because teacher will give you a lot of exercises. You'll have to speak from your first day. You'll have to write, you'll have to make mistakes, but when you learn on your own, you don't have to do that. Actually, I would advise you not to pressure yourself to speak and write. It would be the best to listen and to read as much as possible, so that you can really soak up that vocabulary, you can soak up that pronunciation, when you listen to native speakers talk, and most importantly, grammar patterns, because I hate cramming. I hate really digging into grammar and trying to understand it and then use it at the same moment. And this is one of the reasons why I found learning Chinese not so difficult, because I really watched a lot of Chinese, series, TV shows, and I read a lot in Chinese, and that's what other Chinese learners don't do. They try to get themselves to give that output here and now, but you don't have to do that if you learn a language on your own. Just give yourself some time and it's gonna pay off. Also, one good thing of learning a language on your own is that you don't have to be dramatic over not understanding grammar. And I allow this to myself with learning German now. I go through all the grammar that I have to learn, but if I don't understand something like dative, accusative, these things, I understand them, but I can't use them perfectly. So I allow myself to be like this for, time being. It's better to go through this, and if you don't understand something perfectly, completely, just continue, going further, going through further material, but then you can come back to this material after some time, after a couple of weeks, after a month, and revise on that. And with the knowledge that you have now, by that time you would have more knowledge, you would have more language exposure, you would understand that better. You don't have to get everything from the first try. And we are going back to meaningful input now. Wait until your brain actually forms those patterns. You don't have to understand everything logically, because if you understand all the grammar rules and remember them logically, it might really take time, for you to form a sentence in your mind and then to say it. And that's not how you speak in a language. Just really give yourself some time and don't over dramatize learning grammar. There is one point that you might miss while you're learning language on your own. You have to take notes and just get yourself, a notebook for this language. One is enough. Just one notebook, or create a notebook on the device that you use normally, and write everything there. Just all the grammar topics that you learn. Just put the basic rules in there and some, very important vocabulary that you've learned. Don't put all the words that you try to remember in there, because it's not going to work. There's just too many words in language. But some, basic stuff, and that's gonna help you, because that actually helps you systemize the material in your brain also. And if you don't take notes, I tried that. For example, with learning Japanese, I had various scattered notes. It wasn't all systemized. So currently, in my brain, Japanese is I have these pieces of information, pieces of grammar, vocabulary, and it's also scattered. I can't put it together and actually speak the language. So I wouldn't recommend that. And the last point that you might actually hate is consistency and responsibility. Even when you learn a language or learn anything else, in university, with teacher, with other learners, your result is only your responsibility. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth. So you really have to keep yourself accountable and remember about your goal. So if you want to get there, you actually have to take these steps. But one thing to be aware of, try not take too much pressure, and please try not to burn out. And it's so easy to burn out with learning a language, because one day you would be so excited and you would sit down and study for 3 hours straight, and you might do that for a couple of days or for a week, and then you would be, no, I'm tired, that's enough, and that would really demotivate you. So try to restrain yourself, and the moments when you're the most active and motivated are actually dangerous. To try to do it systematically, step by step, bite-sized portions of a language. don't put too much pressure on yourself. And what I found out recently, it's actually good sometimes to even take breaks in learning a language. For example, I would learn German for, let's say, 4 months, and then I would take a break for 1 or 2 weeks, so I can kind of recharge myself and let the material sink in, and just to relax a little bit, and then I would have more strength, more power to go back to learning German. So you should really think about it, and you don't have to study every day for a year. Taking breaks is actually a very important step in this process. The same with, sleeping. If you don't sleep for a day or two, you will be so tired you wouldn't actually function normally. So the same with the language. Let yourself relax once in a while. That's it for this video. If you have any advices or life hacks for learning a language on your own, please leave them in the comments. I would really appreciate that. And see you in the next video.